Um, okay, I'm live now. Yes, hiyo link nimekutumia. You can't see it, kocha. Hiyo ndio umeitumia? Let me mute.
Yeah, nice. Sikusikii lakini
Nilikuwa
now
nimemute.
you are clear.
Hey, we are on, bro. We are live.
God damn. Am I
God damn.
niko
Yeah?
visible enough?
Uko visible kabisa baba.
Change
Hebu
ninyo.
ngoja.
I
Let me
changed
check.
my sitting position.
Let me go into my channel and see what it is showing
Yeah.
me.
Are we broadcasting?
It's telling me we are live, bro.
Really?
Yes.
So hakuna kuongea vitu za ajabu ajabu.
No, hapa, be careful. Everything is recorded, and the internet does not forget. Let me see. Yeah, it
Oh,
shows.
you are in the
But
show. Everyone can see and hear you.
one is watching, but I'm only
Who
seeing
is,
the banner.
who is watching?
Maybe it's me. Let me go in. Oh, maybe it was because of moderation and help. Okay, close. I'm no. What I've done is I've gone
Oh,
into the YouTube. Oh yeah,
oh.
we are good. We are good.
There's
We are good.
feedback.
Yeah,
There's
it's
some feedback.
because I'd opened YouTube on my phone so
Oh,
that I see it.
oh. Clarity
Boom.
on my side, visual clarity.
Visual clarity, sound is good. Everything is hunky dory.
Wonderful.
Uh, yes, I think we are good, bro.
Let's go. You have 1 hour.
Yes, we have at least an hour to go through this.
Hmm.
So, welcome, Brian Ingudi. This is the AM show live. We are calling what the free flowing Saturdays.
Free flow
Uh,
Saturday. First
yes,
first live session. First live session.
the first live session that we're having.
Hmm.
So let's go straight to it. I think there is a lot happening, even as we are on New Year's Eve. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know what you've planned to do for your New Year. um, so let's first kick off. I think the big story we are hearing is of this gentleman called Andrew Tate, who has
Yeah,
recently been arrested.
yeah.
Um, there's quite a lot of I think it's been trending almost on all major socials. Um, there's a lot of buzz around him. By the way, for me, actually, the first time I came to know of Andrew Tate is this year.
Okay.
Must have been around June, July. So
Hmm.
it's about 6 or so months ago that I first stumbled into this guy called Andrew Tate, and I think that was just the time he was banned on
on all media.
on all media platforms.
Mm.
So what is it with this guy? How comes number one?
You
We
know,
want
he has if you look at it, he has some sort of Jesus vibe. You know, in the Bible, Jesus actually predicted his crucifixion. You know that.
yes,
Uh,
that's true.
so this
But that
guy has
was
he
but the
predicted
prediction
it.
was in relation to the arrest.
Yeah, and and,
There are
and
many
so
people.
remember he has predicted he predicted three strikes. Strike
Mhm.
one,
Yes.
media shutdown. Strike two, arrest. Strike three, death.
Hmm.
Oh, the same way Jesus predicted that. The only difference is that Jesus predicted that he's going to resurrect. For
Yes.
Andrew, there's no resurrection, but I think it points towards the fact that something is cooking.
Hmm.
And there's a tweet I made some time back.
Hmm.
You have an option of living long like a sheep or
Hmm.
living short like a lion.
Yes.
Mm. You take your pick.
You
And you
take
know
your
most people would prefer to live short, no, to live long like a sheep.
yeah.
Mm.
And I think let's come back to that in a moment because actually when you think of the people that have had an impact on
Mm.
this world
Mm.
have actually not been those that have lived for long
Uh,
in
the,
many
the,
regards.
the, the zero impact characters are here with us every day, just consuming oxygen here and just.
They're going to be here until they are 120 or 130. They never die. They're like cats
It's
with a
like
million and
just
one.
that persistent cockroach. You're always
Yes,
spraying insecticide and it's always there. It's not doing anything. It's like that.
it never
Yeah, I call
dies.
it. I call it. You become like part of the furniture. You know, the furniture is just there, like a picture frame.
Yes.
That picture frame can be there for even 20 years and not adding any value. So the people, but then if you really want to create an impact. I call if you want to break the inertia,
Mhm.
be prepared for rather some adjustments to your lifespan. You won't be
Mhm.
around for long
So,
because of the
so
inertia.
I think let's go back to Andrew Tate.
Hmm.
For you, what do you think the arrest means? What's your take about him generally as a person who's had an influence, particularly around manosphere and the red pill movement? Um, yeah,
Well,
well, what's your take about him?
generally we live in a world where the system tends to be against free thinkers
Hmm.
in every aspect. Even I guess
Yes.
the days when you are still under employment, if you are a free thinker, you'll tend to be under the microscope of, or telescope of management. There's a general what do I call it, negativity towards people who do not want to think like the herd.
Hmm.
Now, Andrew Tate went one step forward,
Hmm.
and he actually started like he's forming a crusade of
Hmm.
individuals who think freely.
Hmm.
So when if let's say he had something called some sort of a university or something where he
Hmm.
had people he was
Hustlers.
recruiting,
It's called the Hustler University.
the Huxley University. Now,
Hmm.
what if let's say in 5 years' time we
Hmm.
have like the good thing about a free thinker, we need very few of them
Hmm.
for to
Yes.
turn things around. So imagine when
Yes.
we have if we have like 1,000 people thinking like Andrew Tate, so many things which we are made to believe is a certain way would actually change our perception of so many things, because most of what we believe is not our own beliefs. It's a result of noise from elsewhere. right? So this guy was actually in the business of converting sheep into leopards.
mhm,
And when you're trying to convert sheep into leopard, the shepherd will not be very happy with you. In this case, the shepherd is the system.
mm,
Hmm. Like from birth, like when you're very small at elementary level, they'll tell, okay, as for me, the narrative was read hard, get good grades, then get a good job, and then marry and get children.
mhm,
Nothing outside that. So the issue is that when you deviate from that, you are a failure.
mhm,
So we grew up, now we are fighting over 30 years of programming. But then again, you ask yourself, if you say, I'm going to work hard, get a good job, buy a car, marry, start a family.
mhm,
See, the moment you have a family and you have these other expenses that are related to the family, and maybe you have a good job, a six-figure paycheck, your expenses are going to be very high, and your mind will be tuned towards uh, keeping your family in that standard. Now, when you are in that situation, I normally like talking about the purpose of man. It's not about, I don't know, protecting what. I say purpose of man is create, solve, improve. When do at what your mindset is now tailor made towards now creating a good, they tell you create a good future for your family. What about your own future? Are you creating anything? Are you solving anything? Are you improving anything? And if I may look at the capacity of the male mind, you remember in the Bible, Adam was the human being was the last creature to be created, right? Other animals were there. But funny enough, these animals had no names. Adam named them. And what God did was passing each animal in front of Adam and he'll give it a name. There was no Wikipedia, no reference, no research bureau. Adam was firing definitions from the hip: lion, leopard, crocodile, whatnot. What tells you about such kind of a mind? That is a mind that is swimming with creativity. But
mm,
the moment you start, now you have a kid, you have to think of the football practice, where to go on holiday. Uh, oh, your wife was moody today. What is the problem? Then your in-law is graduating. So within like 10 to 15 years, you've actually become sort of dull. You've become some sort of a machine for taking care of other people, say creating a good future for my family. What about your own future? We've seen situations whereby the man and the wife, the kids have grown up and they sort of congregate around the wife, and the old
mhm,
man is left there alone, sitting somewhere, very miserable. So you're asking yourself, you worked very hard for these people's future. What about your future? So Andrew Tate was actually, as much as Andrew Tate, he said very clearly he's not married, but he has kids. But if you look at he does not portray a sense of family or whatnot. He's always mobile and whatnot. And
mhm,
so he was in the process of converting sheep into leopards. And he fell in the bad books of the shepherd. We have a
mhm.
shepherd here whose job is to whip us into shape. We have a
Yes.
shepherd here who believes that you should wake up at this particular time so that you get to work by 8 in the morning, so that you make millions for your employer. Case study, I have a former, I call him an acquaintance. We went to
Mhm,
school with, then by luck, he managed to rise somewhere to position of CEO. In his first board meeting, he was sitting with directors. He
mm,
had a statement being said. He found it to be very shocking.
mhm,
The director was saying at the beginning of the year, we need to push these people very hard because this time I want to go to another country for my vacation in December.
mm.
You are being pushed, told as employees to grind very hard, so that the
Hmm.
director maybe has gone to, I don't know, to London or Geneva. Maybe this time he wants to go to the Alps, Swiss Alps. He wants to
Yes.
go skiing.
Yes.
So for him to get that money for
Yes.
skiing, you people on the ground, you people who are well
Yes.
behaved and disciplined and diligent, you have to grind very hard in your diligence and discipline so that you can go skiing in the Swiss Alps. The issue is, when
Yes.
are you, Mr. Diligent, going to the Swiss Alps?
Yes.
You, Mr. Diligent, Mr. Always going to arriving to work on time, your
Yeah.
biggest, the farthest, your most biggest idea of a holiday is maybe Diane,
Hmm.
after you saved for 12 months. That is the most.
Mm.
So I think Andrew Tate was more of pushing towards converting leopards, sheep into leopards, and somehow the shepherd got pissed off, and action is being taken against him.
Yeah, I think you've brought out some very interesting thing. It is true. Yes, when you're a free thinker, when you decide to not follow the well-beaten path, or
Mm.
the where the majority are following, you are bound to come at loggerheads with the establishment, what you're referring to, the system. And I do agree that from many of the comments that Andrew Tate has made, they seem, or they are in many regard, against the common narrative that is out there. Um, but even as I read through, as I look at what his message and everything, from my standpoint, I actually don't find it to be all that um, highly controversial. Actually, if you're
Because
to
you're a free thinker.
maybe that's one point. But what I'm trying to get at is what he says is there are many other people saying what he's saying. You've got the Rollo Tomases, you've got a bunch of them. There are a host of other people. Why is it that he was the one picked to be sort of the example, or I don't know what was the goal or the intention, or the reason why? Um, but what I'm trying to get at is there are, you know, a number of other uh, luminaries out there
Yes, there
that
are a number
are
of people. There are a
that
number
are
of people.
saying the same thing. Others are even, to my regard, I think there are others that are even pushing the envelope much further than him.
Now,
So,
yes, there are others who are pushing the envelope of free thinking,
mhm,
but apart from Andrew Tate, who pushes the envelope that I can be a free thinker and successful in that? Who drives around in a Bugatti, in a Ferrari, flies in a private jet, telling you, listen, you can be a free thinker and succeed in being a free thinker? The rest of this guy, we don't hear much about them because, you see, if we don't hear about you very much, chances are there's an aspect of timidness.
mhm.
Yeah. But this guy tells you, I'm a free thinker, this is my way of doing things, and these are the outcomes. I own a Bugatti, I own a Ferrari, I have a private jet. Whenever I fly out, the only thing I do is to call my people, have the jet ready. How many people have the have the privilege of calling someone, say, have the jet ready? You'll be probably at the mercy of the travel agent, tell you, oh, the flights are booked and whatnot. And this guy has the jet ready anytime. He can even cancel his own flight without any charges. So he's pushing the narrative that is about being free, and being free to display your freedom,
No, I
not in
agree, and and
not
and
in some not in some book or
yeah.
paperback or some interview that occurs once in a while, or some document, or just one or two YouTube videos and what. This guy is pushing the agenda through and through. He's like a stream, a live stream of freedom. And who else has set up a college of raising sheep into leopards? No one. So when you are going, we normally say the cock that crows the loudest is the one that ends up on the chopping block on Christmas Day.
That's true. That's
So
true. And
in,
he is loud. He is loud. He's definitely out there.
yeah, so the if you are looking to hunt down free thinkers, you look for the freest of all free thinkers. Not these some of these sort of you have people who are free thinkers, then they have a tinge of apologetic or some. This guy gives it to you straight and narrow. If you can swallow it, well and good. If you can't, no problem. Swallow a glass of water and move on. Tembeza kiatu. So this was the loudest crowing cock. So
You 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 know, I do have a bit of a contrary opinion of him.
hmm,
I agree actually pretty much with his messaging. Um, and this is not necessarily to deem his light, but I've gotten into some spaces and I've seen some people that are vehemently really supporting him and others that are against him. He's got those two sort of dichotomies, if you might term them as such. Um, but I think a lot of to a lot of things to some of the people, it has gone down to a point of a hero worship. I posted yesterday, I think, following his arrest, that so number one, I don't find much of what he says to be that out of the world enough for him to receive sort of the attention that he has gotten from the ban and now the most recent one to the arrest. With that said, I agree with what he says. Again, as you say, it probably sounds so natural to me because I'm also a free thinker. Um, but I think one thing that I've come to learn, particularly looking at the world, I would say post COVID, looking at how the agenda was promoted and pushed, um, there are people that I term as controlled opposition. That is, number one, they will be positioned to appear as though they are for they are for the free thinkers, for the red pillars, for men in manosphere that are looking to build themselves. And that's the image and the impression that many of us have with regards to Andrew Tate. But let's look at the flip side. Now, this guy, the other day I was listening to one of his interviews, I think from Piers Morgan, and Piers Morgan asked him, "So what's your net worth?" And the guy said, "We are now worth $1 billion." Now, Piers Morgan didn't even push at that. Now, this $1 billion is said to be out of that Hustler University that he has. And there are many people that run online courses that are probably even doing much more than him. So there's that. But then, two, he says to be running casinos. And then the other thing he says to manage girls on OnlyFans page. So this guy, if he's running casinos, I pointed out in one of my comments on the YouTube page, saying, casinos are likely to be a money laundering scheme. I could be
yeah,
wrong. And then two, if you're doing OnlyFans for women, number one, you're exploiting women on one side. He even refers to himself in some regard as a pimp. That could be said to be a human trafficking, sex trafficking cartel that he might be running. Actually, his current arrest is said to be under the guise of, or rather, is going to be charged under human trafficking. So this is
and
all
kidnap.
Andrew Tate. And there are people that are not alive to this fact. that this guy that you sort of hero worship, you pedestalize, and I'm not invalidating any value that you may have extracted. Extract whatever value you can get, but also be alive to the realities of who he is. That one, it could likely be part of a money laundering scheme, and then two, that is also part of a human trafficking or sex trafficking scheme. And I, even when I was thinking about it, I said, how could he be building men on one end, but then again also exploiting them on the other side with regards to gambling and sex through the women that he peddles. So it seems to sort of negate his whole mission. So
Um,
that that's why,
what
from my point of
what are,
view, I say he is controlled opposition. Controlled opposition means um, is
hmm,
appearing to be one thing, and that pulls in quite a number of people that are said to probably be against the establishment. But then at the point is probably going to be channeling them back into into the matrix that he talks about. So that's my reading of Andrew Tate. As much as, and actually what some of the red flags that brought me to this conclusion was, following his ban. During the ban, the time he was banned, this guy got more publicity than ever. Now he got back into social media. Is even now getting 10 times more publicity. He's getting interviews on Fox TV. He's getting interviews on Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan has actually invited him almost twice now, if I'm not mistaken. Some of the Piers Morgan and the Foxes are part of the mainstream media complex. So I tell you, most of the people that are probably revolutionarists, that are pushing the envelope much further than Andrew Tate, you won't find them getting that much publicity. So for me, this is the point that I've come in now to conclude, and as I bring you in now on this, is to say I think people need to grow up to the point where they are not sort of hero worshipping personalities, but number one, they have to trust in themselves so that they don't get, because many of them will probably be disappointed if at all those charges that have been leveled at him go through and he's termed to be guilty. It could be innocent. I could be wrong. But if those things go through and eventually gets to be charged and jailed, I think many will be disappointed. But when you're at a point where you can see things for what they are, you can see people for who they are, you'll be in a better position to accept reality and move on much better.
you see, you have to come to terms the fact that we are dealing with a human being.
Hmm.
No human being is perfect.
Hmm.
As much as uh, what I what I don't advocate for is idolatry.
Hmm. Yes.
The fact of the matter is, the guy speaks sense. His doctrines are very, very sensible. Now, whether or not he's found guilty, now that is something else. If, for example, he's found somehow beyond reasonable doubt that he did engage uh, in such kind of I want to shout back to Sharif Mustafa. He's wishing us happy holidays. Mustafa, big up. Thank you for your presence here. So, and Richie boy, how you doing, man? Karibu sana. So, you see, it's all about avoiding idolatry. This is a man full of all manner of flaws and whatnot. What you do as an adult, you pick the content that is relevant to you. If he's proven that he's a money launderer, we are not going to vote. We are not going to support him. I'm not going to support his money laundering. I'm going to speak in his favor as a money launderer. If he's a sex trafficker, I won't speak in his favor as a sex trafficker. But the fact remains, his doctrines are very real. So take which fits you and run with it. Ian Gidhae, karibu sana. Happy holidays to you, brothers. Nice. So you take because whatever is describing is things that men go through. The biggest victims of programming are men. So at the end of the day, pick that which will lift you up. Is like when you buy grains from the market. Leave alone those grains at Naivas which are already polished. Let's go to just a normal market. You'll have to sieve out the chaff and whatnot. It's not that the entire grain is bad. There are aspects of that because you cannot take beans and boil beans with stones inside,
Mm,
stalks and whatnot. You'll have to sieve out that is what which is suitable to which is the grain itself. So you
mm,
can't say that because there are stones inside, you toss away everything. You sieve it out. Sieving it out, you use your capacity as a fully functional individual with a fully working mental faculties and see this works for me. For example, he is known to uh, bang a lot of women, right?
yes.
Yeah, he has a lot of women by his side.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you are picking his stuff, does it mean that you start chasing women? Like
No.
I now go in at the river and pick every skirt that I bump into in a pub. No. But there are some aspects of free thinking, of charting my own path and reading between the lines. Those I can pick. So at the end of the day, it's like the few times I've dabbled in data science. When data arrives, it's what's called data cleaning. You have to clean
Mm,
the data. So that data called Andrew Tate, clean it, then take which works for you because definitely there are a lot of things which work for you. You don't take when, for example, you've gone to the hospital and they find you with stones in your stomach, and then you tell the doctor, I bought maize from beans from the market, and I just boiled it directly. Even the doctor will look at you and say, "Boss, are you mad?" So use your faculties. Use your faculties. Even a lion, when a lion is attacking a creature like a buffalo and it brings it down, does it eat everything? Their part will say, this I'm not eating. It will choose. It's not, you want to find a lion chewing the horn of a buffalo.
mm,
No, there are certain parts of the buffalo that the lion will eat. Same in your case. Whatever Andrew Tate is putting before you, listen and say, this works for me, this works for me, this doesn't work for me. You're not going to say just because he drives a Bugatti, you take your Toyota Premio and fit it with a very loud exhaust and plug in a turbocharger. Then you pass through Moy Avenue at 150 kilometers per hour because he said that's what he used to do in the streets of London. No, take which works for you, as Ian Gidai is pointing out in the comments. You use what works for you. Don't just take the entire bag of data and swallow it. You'll choke. So if he's found guilty, well, it is what it is. But the doctrine remains. The doctrine still remains.
truth is truth, regardless of where it's coming from. It doesn't.
Yes.
It doesn't, and it is true. I like the way you've put it. In we definitely need to separate the wheat from the chaff.
Yes.
So, and that's a level of discernment that I
Mm.
think we all need to mature to. Take what you can out of it. It doesn't invalidate. As we say, truth is truth. And going back to it, I think you alluded to this, and I think this is a good segue into our next topic on. We've seen our guy out in the US, Mr. Huku Yues, has gotten
Yeah.
himself
Yeah.
into a pickle. Hey, the way that thing escalated for me, I think I first saw, I think it was a tweet from George, and I think he had taken a screenshot or a segment of the live that the Huku Yues's madam or baby, no, she's not a baby mama yet, girlfriend had posted on TikTok, And initially, I wasn't understanding what was going on. Uh, Before long, I'm seeing some guy post something on Mr. Huku Yues was posting him being, I think he was at some airport somewhere. And then shortly back, I saw the most recent video that he's back in the US trying to reconcile with his girlfriend. And he made statements that he's no longer going to be posting videos ever again. And I was like, this guy was on the up and up. I mean, he had built this great product called Huku Yues. I'd even seen people now began replicating it. I saw a guy, I think he's in the UK. He came up with
There's
Huku
also Huku
UK.
German. There's
There's a
Huku
guy in
German.
Huku German.
Mm,
George himself, IQ, Mr. IQ Watson, had even
mm,
copied that concept. So he started also
mm,
showing
mm,
videos that he was labeling Huku US.
mm,
You know, it
mm.
was a beautiful product, and this guy was just on the up and up. I mean, I think most recently had even hit 100,000 subscribers. His rise in terms of subscribership was astronomical. It was crazy. But then it
That's
seems
why.
one day a woman came and appended him completely. Now he's gonna drop his passion. I think he was trying to say that because his fans were not with him. Is this guy listening to himself or is listening to other voices? What's happening with this guy?
I put some some tweets some time back. I think
Mm,
this week about being able to recognize whether it is your logic or your flesh which is talking.
mm,
If let's say I'm in America and I'm doing something that is really outstanding,
mhm,
then some demons or some maggots get into my head and say, now let me
mm,
bring my wife here. That is not logic. That is
mm,
dopamine.
mm.
That is the
Emotion.
flesh talking. And the moment you are unable to discern between logic and flesh,
Mm,
you are messed up. Because let's face it, as a man, these thoughts will always come. I can look at a beautiful woman and I can say, hey, this one can make a very nice wife.
mm,
But then you have a mental spreadsheet in your head that one says logic, another one says flesh or dopamine.
mm,
The moment that thought goes into the column of dopamine,
mm,
you should actually have, in Excel, you normally have a formula. Like on a spreadsheet, there's a formula. That formula for flesh or dopamine should have a formula of cell number times zero. So that the moment that thought goes there, it is multiplied by zero and Thanos, it's gone. These are the thoughts that we harbor in our mind that, like, now I'm working very hard. I now have a few millions. It's time for me to settle down and marry. Dopamine.
mhm,
That is dopamine. Oh, it's been a long weekend. Let me call someone, some beautiful mamacita, to spend
mm,
the weekend with me. Dopamine, gentlemen. So you have to tell yourself, you have to create this
mm.
mental spreadsheet or where you have column. Is this logic? Is this
Dopamine.
dopamine speaking?
Mm, mm,
I remember during my days of being Mr. Romantic and high-end Kinudiarism, there's a
Mr.
time,
Lover, lover.
eh, in fact, it was two occasions.
Mm,
Once, someone came over the weekend, blah, blah, blah. She left in the evening. See, you pay for fare and whatnot. Then you try to impress her. You go somewhere, buy things. So you've blasted around like 6,000 shillings in trying to impress this person. Then in Sunday evening, your gas runs out.
mm.
Cooking gas is finished. And you're asking yourself, now, cooking gas is finished. And I've just blown a clear 6,000 shillings. So
Hey Brian, we seem to have lost you. What's happening in at river? Yeah, shout out to all the guys that are on the stream. We've got Sharif. Thank you very much, Sharif Mustafa, for joining us. Happy holidays to you. We've got Richie also, who is here with us. Ian Githai. Um, much respect to you guys. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. I don't know. What are you guys doing for New Year's Eve? I think we've lost Brian as he was trying to tell us about that mental spreadsheet that we need to be maintaining, evaluating everything. Is it logical? Is it dopamine driven? And it's really trying to learn from looking at Mr. Huku Yues and how he has had some missteps. Okay, good. I think we have Brian back. Let me bring him in. Hey, hi Brian. I think you dropped off at some point.
I think
Um,
shit all republic plus I think maybe the shepherds are now on my neck. I
this is
I
where we this
yeah
is where we
the
left it
system
off.
the system now is pointing at me. Say, hey Brian, what are you saying? Kujapa.
Yes.
So
So yeah,
as I was saying before,
you are telling
Sunday
us
6,000 shillings gone. No
yes.
gas. Ian Gidai is adding even no tokens. You look at the mathematics. In fact, there was a time I tweeted, out of this dopamine, you actually convert your house into a free weekend resort because
Man.
this lady is
Mm.
actually coming to your house, getting free food,
Yes.
free internet,
Yes.
free movies, great
Yes.
sex, with you
Yes.
doing most of the pumping.
Exactly. You're doing most of the work.
Yeah.
Eh? And now she's there
Then,
enjoying it.
enjoying everything, she's given an Uber back to wherever she's going. Then, once you now go back to you sit in your place, is when it dawns on you
Man.
that boss, gas into you, plus other things that were pending. But since dopamine was there and you wanted to impress this person,
Mm.
it dawns on you that you've actually wasted yourself. And then,
Yes.
and then you know what happens? Monday, Tuesday, and maybe Wednesday, you are in regret mode. Thursday, you are softening up. Friday, you are back to Kinudia Dome. Saturday, another weekend,
This
another
Budesh,
weekend.
man.
That's why you look at a situation whereby you ask yourself, 5 years of earning a salary, you've done practically nothing.
Mm. Mm.
Nothing. And out of the hypergamous nature of the lady, if she finds someone who can give her better weekends than you, my friend, you'll be dumped very quickly the way you throw a banana peeling in a dustbin. Just like that. So, this dopamine really, you have to understand the logic behind it. Because the idea of calling someone over the weekend to your house, if you look at it logically, is a waste. Fortunately, through Andrew Kibe and reading a book called The Predatory Male, these are the things that have actually contributed to me finishing, okay, not actually finishing, making the progress I have with this ZEOBIKE thing. So this is a self-funded project. If I
Mm.
was to include a skirt wearer in the mix,
Mm.
I would be practically nowhere.
Y-
Absolutely nowhere.
You know, the other day there was a time I was thinking is and thinking back saying how much of our purpose as men and possibly some great inventions that we've never seen or heard of or that have never been brought to life because of a woman.
Hmm? You're saying? Sorry, I got. I was reading some comments here from Sharif Mustafa.
Yes, we'll get back to those shortly. I see
Mm,
some questions that have come in, but what
mhm.
I was asking in myself is how much of some great inventions and you know great things that would have seen in this world that have not been manifested because a man was brought down by a woman.
Let me give you an example of Thomas Alva Edison.
Hmm.
They have said that he is the although there's a guy called Louis Latimer is the one who actually made the final improvement on the light bulb, but Alva Edison actually made 10,000 trials until he actually got close to what was needed.
Hmm.
Imagine if he was a Mr. Lava Lava boy.
Mm,
Today we'll be still be using lanterns and funny lighting devices. So what happens is that the moment you have the issue of
mm,
females around you in a purpose beyond child bearing, we have a problem. If it goes be like what happened back in the days, you somebody would marry simply to have kids. The
mm,
purpose of that lady is simply to continue the lineage. But we added the romanticism
mm.
and the what do you call the companionship
Yes,
and coming
yes,
home
yes.
to a warm house and warm food and to
Mm,
hold hands in Uhuru Park
yes, yes,
and
yes.
it actually distorted the entire thing to a point where now for a very large chunk of our lives, out of lack of information, we live for women. We have lived
Mm,
for women. The
yeah.
music that we listen to, I remember in the 90s, I was 90s, yeah, that is in high school. I was a
Mm,
major support of Keith Martin and the Boys
mm,
to Men and
mm,
Michael Bolton.
mm.
Music that really makes you think that your purpose is to impress women. Look at us now. These
Look at us now.
things like ZEOBIKE could have been pursuing them when I was in my 20s.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm,
That's true. I mean, and that's when you are most productive,
yes.
most active, stronger.
Mm, yes.
But we've been programmed into this love
Mm,
mysticism and
plus,
told from
plus that
because when you
narrative,
yes
plus
when
the
you think
narrative
about
of
it,
get a good job and marry and
get a
such kind
good
of.
job and marry.
Mm,
Men have been literally, and that example you are giving of how much we lose every
mm,
weekend for the
mm,
pudesh, for the
mm,
woman.
mm,
That's 6,000 bob. You'd have probably made an investment or a savings towards
mm.
something that would have benefited you. It went to this bitch, and there is a lot
I
of
don't
that.
even want to think
How
of
ma-
it.
how if you are to now account for how much resources you've wasted,
Don't take
it's
me there.
premium, man. And
If you take me there, I'll end the stream right now.
we were accustomed to really work for the woman.
Like
There's a question here
I can
from.
give you an example. I can give you
Mhm,
an example. There was a time we were dealing when I was dealing with the Zeo bike.
mhm,
Typical day, we've paid some people, work is going on. Then, in a space of 2 days, I get a first call from my co-founder. The money that we had dedicated is not enough because something was needed somewhere. Okay, how much do you need? I need 18,000. Okay, 18,000. Here we go. 18K. You close your eyes, you give it. Following day, I'm at the site. We are doing some work. Then we get to the conclusion that because the project was in limbo for quite a while. So there's some extra paint work and repair work that has to be done. What do you need? 19,000 shillings. So Monday 18,000, Tuesday 19,000, 37,000 shillings in 2 days.
mhm.
Now, if I'm in the business of scat chasing, would I fork out 37,000 like that? I would think that there's a money I have to set aside for a trip somewhere. I've promised somebody a dress. I've promised someone is complaining that her hairstyle. They say ati nywele haina retouch or sijui nini. There's
mm,
some funny
mm, mm,
uh, terminology they use. There will be
mm,
so much noise in my head.
mm,
But fortunately, I didn't have the noise. I would say, "Do you want this tech?" That's why I said that I'm okay with sleeping with tea and bread in my house because I don't have someone to show standards to. Somebody will tell you, "Oh, me, I can't sleep with tea and bread because my skin tone has to be maintained," and such weird shit. So if we were not having this programming from 18 years, you can imagine where Kenya would have been.
can you imagine that focus, that dedication?
Mm, mm,
Because and I think this is a good point to go into the ZEOBIKE. Tell us a little bit about
mm.
that project. When did you first have that idea? Uh, and what's your goal about it? I think I'll try and see if I can post some of those images of the bike.
Uh,
Um,
the Zero bike, um, the first idea was not even Zero bike, was a hybrid tuk tuk that is shaped like a sports car. That was the
okay.
first idea.
So first of all,
But since
ZEOBIKE is what? It's a battery charged
yes,
motorcycle. Is that right?
motorcycle tailor
Yes.
made for courier services. It's not a
Okay.
passenger bike. It's a courier
Yes.
service
Yes.
bike.
Yes.
Eh.
Yes. Yes.
So it came as a result of me linking with my co-founder, a
Hmm.
guy called Charles, and we took to the bike, but on one agreement. This is not a taxi bike, it's not a boda boda,
Mm,
because boda boda represents public transport system failure.
mm.
Yeah, it's like a band-aid.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
like you are having malaria and you take Panadols to soothe the issue. So we
Mm,
said you're not going to go. We are going to the courier services
mm,
as our what you call our invitation card into the e-mobility party. Because
mm,
in the e-mobility party, the minimum requirement is a running prototype.
mhm,
And we opted for the courier services because courier is part of courier is actually part of a bigger enterprise. There are courier which are courier per se. There are
mhm,
courier which are courier part of other business, maybe an office messenger for another company, or part of individuals taking part in what you call research and data collection. So the
mhm,
courier bike is a very vast piece of equipment, and we are trying to limit down to manage the cost of the logistical cost across various industries. That is why in our pitch deck, we make it very clear, Zero Motors, we are focusing on commercial vehicles because a commercial vehicle is actually industry transcending. A commercial bus can be used as a passenger vehicle, can be used for staff transport, can be used for airport transfers, and the same chassis can be made into a goods transporter for various industries. Nearly every manufacturing industry must have a logistical wing that deals with transporting of goods. Education, school buses, they use transport. So a commercial vehicle, an electric commercial vehicle, converts to reduction of transport expenses across so many industries. Imagine an ambulance that all of a sudden will have to no longer be dealing with the maintenance expenses, especially in a situation whereby transport is what we call a necessary headache. For example, a school. Core business of a school is earning money from imparting knowledge. Their business is not transport. Transport is simply to give an edge over over their competitors. Because if your competitor has a school bus and you don't, obviously parents won't take their children there. So these especially businesses where transport is what I call a necessary headache, like a manufacturer. Your core business is to manufacture and sell. If there was a very nice fantasy, clients will be coming with their own vehicles and doing their own. But since you want to have an edge over your rivals, you'll invest in a fleet, which is not your core business. So you have to pay, apart from paying operators of your processing equipment, you are paying drivers, you are paying loaders, then you have to pay for maintenance of the vehicle and spark plugs and filters and lubrication oil, which is not featuring anywhere in your core business. So, for an electric vehicle, engine maintenance is practically zero. So that is the main idea behind the Zeo Motors.
Wow, that's brilliant. And it is the future because now we are moving into uh, battery powered cars.
Mm.
This is the green economy that we are moving into. And and
Yeah.
and I and I like it, and I've seen so and what do you say? Where are we? You're probably one of the front runners in this. Um, I bet one of the challenges you're bound to come up is around infrastructure in terms of charging stations or battery swapping stations. As I told you, here in Rwanda, they have already introduced, because motorcycles are big here in terms of mostly used around transportation. They have already begun introducing battery powered motorcycles. I think they were initially petrol powered, but I think they converted them for to be run by battery, and they have installed several battery swapping stations that help the the motorcyclist at least to still be able to continue their business in a more efficient way. So they know, as the battery is going low, they just need to drive to a certain place, load up a new battery, and they're back on the road, which they don't have to wait for. I don't know how long it takes to charge a full battery. So, so my question is, where are we around this future to the green economy, the
Well, you see,
e-mobility
when I
business,
hear
as you say?
people talking about
That.
infrastructure, I find it
Mm,
quite entertaining in some way.
mm,
You'll talk of infrastructure if you are doing a copy paste of what is happening in the developed countries. You
okay.
have to create a tailor-made solution. One
Mm,
of the problems we are facing today is cost of consumer goods due to partly the contributing factor is cost of fuel. Majority of consumer goods are transported either from the factory
mhm,
or from the distributor. So an electric vehicle, if we've made it clearly, we are going for electric vehicles,
mm.
for commercial vehicles, sorry. So if
Yes,
it is
yes.
a commercial vehicle, this is a vehicle already. The good thing about, okay, it's more of a disadvantage of an electrical vehicle. There is no one size fits all.
Mm,
Uh, for, let's say, a bakery. There's somebody doing bakery business and another person transporting second-hand goods from Nairobi to, let's say, regional. We may be selling the same vehicle, but the range of those vehicles will have to be different.
mm.
So if somebody is operating from a bakery, already the bakery has electricity, it has a generator. So what you need
Okay.
is simply a charging point. So the hub for the electrical vehicle for that bakery is the bakery itself.
Mm,
And
I
these
see.
are vehicles which have a predetermined route. So we
Mm,
know how much distance the vehicle covers for a round trip. So we simply tailor made something that is maybe 50% extra to what the vehicle covers. And the charging setup, we set it up at the bakery. So we're looking at
mm,
situations whereby these commercial goods transporting vehicles will be charging at the factories. Already
mm,
the factories are major consumers of power.
mm,
So we simply have the charging facilities within the factory. These are not vehicles that are making random trips like a personal car.
mm,
That's why we are very particular. Commercial vehicles, and when we come to the point of selling trucks, we'll
mm,
actually be approaching factories, these fleets.
mm,
Businesses like ambulances. Ambulance operate from a hospital. Hospital will have a very elaborate power supply system plus a generator. We set it
mm,
there. And we look in
mm,
general, we look at in the last 5 years, what is the average? movement of the vehicle per day. We tailor make according to that. So when we talk of infrastructure from our end at Zeo Motors, we know what we are after. If it is something like a pizza delivery operates from a hub, which is the pizza place.
Mm,
So if at the pizza place I put a battery swap center specific for that pizza place, I'm not doing
mm,
any disruption. All right. So that's why we focused mainly on commercial vehicle because we are targeting a reduction in cost of operating of factories, and so that the end outcome is a reduction in the cost of consumer goods. That roll of toilet tissue, that bar soap, that bread is bought by diesel vehicle. It is brought either from the distributor or from the bakery. So if it is the vehicle can go wherever it wants to go, but the turnaround is at the bakery. So at the bakery is where we put the charging system, and the vehicle is tailor-made to successfully do a round trip and remain with some power and do some charging and come back. That is so. When I hear somebody talking of charging, I don't know, national charging infrastructure
mm.
from our end, that is, I
That
would
is
say that
not
is
either.
that is mathematics we finished a very long time ago.
Oh wow! So it's good to see that you guys have already thought through that
Mm.
entire chain.
Yeah.
Looking at these are going to be commercial vehicles. They have a defined route. They
Mm.
have, you know, defined either hubs or delivery centers they'll be
Yeah.
operating within, and you
Mm.
can be able to
Mm.
strategically place either a
Mm.
charging station or a battery swap
Mm.
station at those
Yeah.
points. And I think,
Mm.
and actually, now that I think about it, actually, those charging stations, it's not actually such a big deal putting up
Mm.
those things. I've heard that Kenya Power is set to put some up. I think I saw some images of somebody putting up a charging station at a Naivas supermarket.
Yeah.
That is at a parking lot in a Naivas supermarket. So these things are going to be possible. And now, the other great thing, which is great also for your industry and what you're pursuing now, is they have already introduced battery powered buses
Yeah.
from what I saw in the city. So
Yeah.
this again, portends very well. So the industry it's gonna start, and now having what you guys are doing. And congratulations once again. I think
Yeah.
you've been telling me of the various milestones that you guys have gone through. I
Yeah.
saw today you are doing some test drives. I'm looking forward to seeing you on the highway running that thing, and reporting back on how those test drives have been, and
Yeah.
eventually putting this out. But the other thing was, how is your competitors? I saw there was another company coming in called Rom. I presume competitors at this point is a good thing because that shows the industry is growing. Um, but where do you place yourself in that mix?
Well, from our end, Zero Motors is actually uh, a win-win situation for both our potential investors and Kenyans in general. Uh, the For the investor, as I've shared some pictures before, this is a motorbike that is built from scratch, and we own the blueprints. So if an investor comes in, our capacity to upscale
Mm,
to what we call a mass production unit of any size, it's very fast. There may be some teething issues, but it's going to be quite fast. Another aspect is employment. This bike, this is one prototype, and we use the services of 4 people: welding, fiberglass, electrical work, and cushion manufacture. Those are 4 people. So if we are to have a unit that produces 30 motorbikes per day, those are 120 jobs. That is only on the shop floor. Other logistics we have not gone into. So if you are to upscale, we have an investor coming in and we put a target of 30 bikes per day. assured of 100, over at least 100 jobs from our end. And for the investor is a lot of returns because you see our capacity to make adjustments to our blueprints is very easy. A client may, for some reason, want a certain shape. All I need to do is adjust the blueprint in a particular way, do some bit of shaping and welding, and I'm good to go. As opposed to if I was doing purely import, the moment client wants something a bit different, now I have to start import activities, import logistics. While if I'm to use my method, within 48 hours, I'll have a new design available.
Mm,
Because we normally say you cannot make adjustments on a blank paper. Whatever design you want, it will be based. It's not, you are not an angel to come up with something so outlandish. Somewhere it will be an iteration of something that you're already doing. So we're at a very major vantage point as far as upscaling is concerned. Another challenge we faced, because I asked someone if in Kenya someone has ever welded a motorbike frame from the word go, and they
mm,
said no, they have not.
oh,
So the guy who was welding our frame, this is somebody with lots of years of experience in welding,
mm,
but he's the first time he's welding a motorbike frame. Very
mm,
first time.
mm,
That's why one of the challenges we are facing up to now is lack of a technology ecosystem. Because if there was a technology ecosystem, the frame will be available. I can just make one call and say it'll be
mm.
ready in a short while.
Yes,
But
yes,
if
yes.
you find the so-called expert welder is welding the motorbike frame for the very first time in existence since he was born, of all the welding work he has done, beds and whatnot and doors, today, after let's say 15 years of welding, in 2022, he's now welding a motorbike frame. So, and us, we are also, Zero Motors, we are also going into uncharted waters. So, we are referring to the sketches, we are referring to the technical drawings and
Mm,
guiding the person. And then blunders occur. I think a few days ago, we had a problem with the material. So, we had to replace some bit of material. That's why the video, there's a video I was showing, I was sharing. We had to do the shakedown runs very, very slowly, very slow, because that point you are able to point out the weaknesses of this thing,
mm,
because we are not a razzmatazz business. We are here to produce a product that will last. And like all established manufacturers, any new product has to undergo thorough shakedowns. And as you know, we are not a multinational or a deep pocket organization. We have to look at the budget. So you can say, okay, do a shakedown, let's analyze this bit and expect this bit is going to fail. If it fails, this is what we are going to do. So in fact, it's impossible to build something, it makes a run, then it doesn't fail. If you make a run and it doesn't fail, then either something is monumentally so wrong that it's soon going to explode somewhere along the
mm.
line.
Yeah.
So, in the nature of manufacturing, there are going to be failures. So, that's what you are looking for. We are trying to minimize failures. It's historical. There are so many machines out there in the world class equipment that have gone through what we are going through. And that is our motivation. What we are doing, others people have done, and whatever challenges we are facing, as we normally say nothing new under the sun. But we are working very hard to ensure that the Zero bike will be a quality piece of equipment.
Yeah, I mean, this is groundbreaking stuff that you guys are on to your pioneers, and
Mm.
you know, I think your place in history is now firmly well reserved, and
Mm.
I just want to, big up you guys. Continue doing what you're doing.
Mm.
We are looking forward to reading more about the Zeo bike. I guess the next
Yeah.
stage after this, once you
Mm.
have the prototype fully proven, now
Mm.
is now, as you're saying, the scaling up, and the other groundbreaking stuff will be putting up an industrial scale
Yeah.
kind of an establishment to be able to produce this en masse. And who
Yeah.
knows,
Yeah.
It will be from here, from made in Kenya, and can be
Yeah.
exported across Africa and across the whole wide world. You guys will
Yeah.
be able to show. So it's this is great. This is what we are talking about, of Africans building, creating,
Mm. Mm.
doing our own thing instead of just, doing
Mm.
copy paste or importing stuff
Yeah.
from China or other parts of the world. So, I want to bring this now to a close. I think we've discussed quite a whole lot.
Yeah.
Uh, it was quite great. I just want let me give a shout out to some of the guys that joined us. We've just said Timothy Ndegwa was with us. Thanks, Timothy, for joining us, and thank you for your input. We've got Ian Gidai, who also joined us
Sharif
here.
Mustafa.
Sharif Mustafa. Guys, thanks a
Yeah.
lot. We're going to be having this every Saturday from 7 p.m.
Free
Every
flow
Saturday night,
Saturday. It's a free
free
flow
flow
Saturday.
Saturdays. So please make sure you join us for this live. It'll be happening every Saturday without fail. And thanks again, Brian, for joining me on this. It has been quite a pleasure doing our very first live. Oh wow, man! I
First
didn't know I
live.
could
Yeah.
do this, but
We're here,
we've
man.
done it. We're
We're
here,
here.
bruh. We're here.
As Andrew Kibe says, God damn.
Yeah, man. Happy New Year, guys. Everyone else, happy 2023. Looking forward to seeing you all when we cross over to the next year. And with that, we sign out. See you guys.